This episode was brought to you by Munch Studio, helping you turn your ideas into content that's already done.
Why the Miss America system?
Scholarship money has been a very big perk of competing in the Miss America opportunity. I've been able to walk away with over $64,000 in scholarships, which I don't think I could go anywhere else and get. When I graduated high school, I remember my mom telling me that there was no money saved for scholarship. And it wasn't in a way that, she was trying to put me down, but just, go out there and get it.
You're going to be a public speaker. So I started competing in the Miss America opportunity, and the growth that I've had, the interview prep that comes behind it, the support, like the family that you gain from the Miss America system, it is not just sisterhood, but it's an entire family.
And I think it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be scared. Just really embracing those moments where even if it feels like, oh my God.
Welcome to the She Believed She Could podcast. I'm your host, Allison Walsh. Since 2020, this show has inspired thousands of women around the world to believe in themselves and take bold action toward the lives they're meant to live. Each episode brings you powerful conversations and practical strategies to strengthen your mindset, build your confidence and brand, grow your business, and protect your well-being, all while spotlighting stories of women who are making a difference and changing the world in their own way. I am so glad you're here. Now let's get to work. Well, I am so excited to have all three of you back in the studio today for another special conversation. But Keith, welcome back. Paris, Noelle, it is so good to have you back here and looking forward to a great conversation today.
Yes. Thank you,
excited.
Allison.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that you do for our program. Thank you for what you've done for these two young ladies. But you are a treasure.
Thank
We're
you.
so proud of having you part of our family.
Thank you. You can't get rid of me. I'm
Been
forever.
a few years. Yes, exactly. You are a
20
forever.
years.
Yeah,
20
you know what?
years.
That's right. It has been 20 years.
Yeah.
And what a year you started off with.
Oh, yeah.
Which that's a whole nother story. We'll tell that story at orientation. Love telling that story about the perseverance. So what I just want to basically talk to you all about is kind of hasn't been a year of service yet, 6 months, 7 months. But the first thing I'm going to ask you is why the Miss America system?
I think for me, scholarship money has been a very big perk of competing in the Miss America opportunity. I've been able to walk away with over $64,000 in scholarships, which I don't think I could go anywhere else and get. When I graduated high school, I remember my mom telling me that there was no money saved for scholarship. And it wasn't in a way that, she was trying to put me down, but just, go out there and get it. So I did. I applied for 100 scholarships when I was a senior in high school, and I got about $20,000. And then I had a mentor who told me to try for the Miss Florida program. It's another great way to get some more scholarship money. I competed in teen. I didn't do as well as I wished that I had at the time. Now I look back and I'm like, oh no, everything happens for a reason. Came back to Miss Florida about 3 years later as Miss University of Florida. And every year I came back and the money just started compounding on top of each other. And now I'm done competing and I look back and I'm like, not only did I gain so many experiences, sisterhood, but that scholarship money, being able to graduate debt-free with my master's, having the opportunity to get another degree, I have about $40,000 still left over. So we'll see where it goes.
Noelle?
Yeah, I'd have to say, although the scholarship money, all of that is so incredible. Like the way that I've been able to walk away with schools literally reaching out to me saying, please come to our school. I'm like, this is so not normal at all. But mine really was the growth that I wanted, the life skills that I wanted. The one thing I said I would never do, and it's so funny, was public speaking. I literally said, like, God, use anything but this. Like, do not make me be a public speaker. And I felt like he said, actually, that's what I'm calling you to do. You're going to be a public speaker. So I started competing in the Miss America opportunity, and the growth that I've had, the interview prep that comes behind it, the support, like the family that you gain from the Miss America system, it is not just sisterhood, but it's an entire family. Our backstage moms, like the girls that pour into you, even like having older sister and younger sisters, like you just walk away with so many life skills that you seriously do use in every area. We did an event called Mark This Moment where I would not have been able to get up on that stage and speak that way and be able to really like share my heart in a way that was efficient unless I was a part of the Miss America opportunity.
Awesome.
And we saw her in her element.
Yes,
that was a pretty
absolutely.
special night.
That was her element. Absolutely. Absolutely. So how many times did you compete at the state competition before you captured the state crown?
So I competed once as a teen. I came on as an at-large title holder as Miss Northeast Florida Teen. I don't think we do that any longer. I don't know what that looks like now.
Kind of
but
year to year, we'll see.
It's different. I came on because, again, my mentor was like, just try it, and didn't do too well. I was like, I don't know if pageants are for me. So I tried again as Miss University of Florida. My first year, I was a sophomore at UF, and I didn't win. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try again. I got first runner-up. I think I can at least win Miss UF. Then I came back again next year, and I won Miss University of Florida. And I was so excited because that had been a dream of mine since I was a little girl. I've always dreamed of going to UF, being a UF cheerleader, becoming Miss UF. What I didn't know is that when you win, you have to go to Miss Florida.
Whoops.
So I was like, okay, I just wanted to win Miss UF, and I was so content with that. But I went to Miss Florida, and I got second runner-up on my first try. And I was like, oh, my gosh, I think I am way better at this than I ever thought that I was.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that was just skills that I learned from competing in teen and continuously leveling up and seeing what my sisters had done and continued to do, competing in this organization. That's why I'm like, I'm not mad that I did it and I didn't do well. Like being in the sisterhood and growing alongside one another is so empowering. Then I came back the next year as Miss Northeast Florida. I got third runner-up, which was a little hard for me to go from second runner-up to third runner-up. But again, another one of those moments where I think that I learned a lot more by going back instead of going up. I think I would have become complacent that next year if I would have. And then my third year, I came back as Miss Gainesville, and I had the opportunity to win Miss Florida.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you were fired up.
Yeah, exactly.
You were so locked in, and it was fun to see you recognize and witness your potential, because there was like a very defining moment, and even during competition week where I felt like you were like, I can do this.
I can do this. Yeah.
I can do this. You're ready. It was your time, truly.
And I had a moment, I was just thinking about this the other day, where when I was Miss Northeast Florida, I remember walking off stage and my dad telling me, you looked so scared. Were you scared? And I was like, yeah, I was scared. And then coming back as Miss Gainesville the next year, I wasn't scared at all. Like I knew that I had prepared in every phase of competition where I felt like I didn't prep enough in the former years. That last year, Miss Gainesville, I was like, no, I'm not scared. I'm here. I've prepared enough. If I win, I win. If I don't, I'll be back next year. Like I know that I've done everything that I can do. I have nothing to fear this year. So I could definitely see each year like the difference in confidence levels. That is
and that's
amazing
something
to
that
see.
you feel yourself. That's something that nobody can tell you.
Yeah.
You know, nobody can tell you, a coach can't tell you, this is what you need to do. You've got to feel that. So, Noelle, how many years did you compete in the teen? You were there.
Yeah, so I competed 3 times at the
3
state.
times.
I competed the first 2 years. First time I competed at a local, and I share this story all the time. I did not want to. Oh my goodness. My mom signed me up. I had 10 days. I was like, what am I doing here? I was a dancer. Like, I did not speak. I did not walk in a gown. Like, this was not for me. I hated heels. I hated dresses, all of that stuff. Was not for me. She signed me up. I ended up competing the first time I came off stage, and honestly, I was like, what was that? I was like, what just happened? What did I just go through? And then my mom said, I really feel like there's a potential here, Noelle. Like, I feel like you are supposed to do this. So I was like, okay. So I ended up competing in the next one and lost again. Lost a lot of times over the years. But seriously, the growth, the first time that I went to Miss Florida, I remember competing on that stage and thought, okay, like I got my first title, I was Miss Ocala that year. I was like, okay, I got this. I'm going to win. Actually, I was Winter Park to fix that. It was Winter Park. And I competed and I didn't get called for the first or the top 10 or the top 15. And I really feel like I had a humbling moment there, honestly. Yeah. I was a competitive dancer. I really struggled with not like being the best at my sport because it was all that I ever knew. So stepping into a new ball game, I feel like I learned a lot of growth specifically in myself that I never even realized I struggled with. So I went and competed the first year, didn't get called for the top 15. My family was confused too. They were like, they were hyping me up, and that's honestly probably why I struggled, because my mom was like, girl, you got this. You're gonna be you're gonna win Miss America this year. I was like, yes, I am. And then top 15, I'm like sitting there like, okay. Walking off the stage, come back on for fitness, like, the whole experience. Then I came back the next year and I just started to fall in love with it. Like the first time I competed, not liking it at all, coming back and literally feeling like this is what I'm supposed to do. Not only because of the growth for me, but really the mission field that it is. There are so many girls there who walk in there, as we had talked about, who when you don't win, you feel really defeated. And I struggled with that. But then when you're able to come and recognize that you're there on mission and you go and you speak life into those girls, you encourage them at the moments where they feel like they're down, where they're finding their worth in a crown, rather than, I actually grew a lot this year. Like, I actually am being surrounded by a community of girls that are fueling me and preparing me for what I feel like I'm called to do in the future. So that was my second year that I feel like God really started to show me, no, this is why you're here. It's not for a crown, but it's because I'm strategically placing you somewhere for such a time as this. So then I ended up competing my second year. Third year, took a break. I was like, I had a whole crazy thing. My family went to Israel. We went to Hawaii, like just went all over the place that year. And then the next year I was like, all right, this is my year. I'm fully like diving into this. And kind of similar to what Paris said, there is so much peace in the preparation. Like, I really felt like the 2 years prior, I didn't understand what the Miss America opportunity was or what the Miss Florida organization, like the work that these girls really put into it. And when I competed, I started to look around and you see their resume and you see their nonprofits and what they're working for. And you start to realize every single one of them deserves to win. Every one of them. And I realized there's just an element that I was lacking, and it really was the preparation. So that last year we put our heads together. Like, I just started going after it. I said, this is my last year in the teen. So I was like, I'm going to fight for it. And I went in, and it was so by the grace of God that I ended up winning the title Miss Florida's teen. And I think I shared the story with you. After I had won the title, the first year I competed, God literally spoke to me. And there were so many people when I told them this that they were like, for sure he did. But I wrote it down in my journal and I said, God told me I'm going to win Miss Florida's teen and this year. And I literally wrote it down. So when I was competing, you know, I'm trying to tell people, I'm like, I think like God told me this and I'm going to believe it until like, if it's not real, but I'm telling you, God spoke, so it's finished. And I competed that year, and it was just such a testament of his goodness. Like, not in the crown, but it was the growth that he did for those years, for the exact moment where he allowed me to win the title, that I realized it wasn't for me, but it really was to pour into my community.
Let's kind of follow that up a little bit to a young lady that is thinking of competing in this system. And, you know, let's face it, you've got 40 young ladies on stage. The odds of going home without the crown are pretty great. So
if you're a business owner or content creator, you already know how hard it is to stay consistent on social media, coming up with ideas, writing captions, designing posts, and actually getting them scheduled. That's why I've been using Munch Studio. It doesn't just repurpose your content, it creates complete, ready-to-use posts for you. Graphics, captions, formatting, even scheduling. So instead of wondering what to post, your content is already done, giving you back the time and energy that you need to focus on building your business and brand. Check out the link in the show notes for more information. The right room changes everything. Your clarity, your confidence, your revenue trajectory.
The She Believes She Could Summit is a curated, high-impact gathering for women building intentional, scalable platforms.
This isn't a massive conference. It is a strategic room, a room where you finally articulate what you've been trying to say, where you refine your positioning, where you build beyond the algorithm into ownership and sustainable growth.
One powerful, focused day in Orlando. Smart strategy, curated conversations, real momentum.
And for those that are ready to move from clarity to execution, there's a VIP day, the Visibility Lab. It's an intimate guided studio experience where you turn your refined message into professional, high-level brand assets, filmed, produced, and ready to elevate your platform immediately.
Day 1 is clarity. VIP day is execution. May 7th in Orlando.
If you've been craving proximity, strategy, and expansion, this is your room.
what can you share with somebody that's thinking, I want to do this, but I'm never going to be Miss Florida. I'm never going to be Miss America. How can you tell them, yes, Paris, you were second runner-up at Miss America? You know, so what can you share with somebody sitting there watching this saying, I want to do this, but I just need that little bit of encouragement? What would that be?
I think for me, it's really knowing where your identity's found. I struggled growing up so bad with where my worth was, whether I found it in things like a crown, whether I found it in looking left and right and like trying to bring others down to bring yourself up. Like there were so many ways that I struggled growing up, but the minute that I actually knew where my identity was found and knew that ultimately no good thing does he withhold from him whose walk is blameless. Like, that's what it says in scripture. And I knew that I was there on mission, that if it was the Lord's will, and actually before we competed for Miss Florida's teen this year, I remember us all doing that group circle, and we all run around and we said one encouraging word for each other, because we aren't divided. There's unity there. It really is a sisterhood. It's not about one girl, but it's about us all, like, just coming around them and surrounding them and supporting them. If they win, then it was the Lord's will. And I think when I really started to walk in that peace and that assurance, knowing that if this is the Lord's will for me, I'll get it. If it's not, then there's something that I can't see that he wants me to step into instead of this.
Good.
I think for me, it would be to do it even when you're scared. Like I mentioned, I was scared every year except for that last year. But there was nothing that would have prepared me to ever not have been scared if I didn't step into that moment, if I didn't push myself onto that stage and say, you got it. If you mess up, it's fine. If you do good, great.
Right.
I think another great thing is to look around at all the women around you and know that they started somewhere. I remember listening to Cassandra, Juliet, so many who became, came as Florida before me, and listening to their stories. Allison, they weren't perfect. I wasn't perfect. The first year that I competed, just like Noelle, I didn't make top 14. I think there was only like 3 of us who didn't, and I was one of those 3 who had to walk off the stage. But I had to start somewhere, and I think that goes for anything in a sport. As a cheerleader my whole life, I was not always really good. Right. There's been moments where I've had to be humbled by family, friends, and parents. And in this case, maybe it's judges, even though it's not. They want to see you win. They want to see you go on stage and do your best. But there has to be that baseline. And I think it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be scared. Just really embracing those moments where even if it feels like, oh my gosh,
I think
I'm really
that's
scared to
so
do
strong statement there. It's okay to be scared.
It's okay to be scared.
It is. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to walk into the unknown and still realize you're going to be strong. I want to touch a little bit, you're walking into the unknown. What's a sisterhood like? Do you have support of your fellow candidates?
100%. I think my first year competing, it was a little hard for me to make friends. I would consider myself an introverted extrovert, but that's one thing that I will definitely say this organization has helped with too. Love to talk about that as well. But coming in the first year when I was a teen, I remember it was so hard for me to make friends. And I would just kind of click to my mom and just want to stay with her the whole week. It was really hard for me to step out and make new friends. And I've seen over the years the friendships that I've made, and some of those even from teen, I've been able to connect with at the University of Florida, being able to do appearances with them, being able to create so many amazing opportunities together, but also competing together in orgs like Miss Northeast Florida. I had Jocelyn and Em on my team, and now those are some of my closest friends. I'm sure we'll be in each other's things eventually. And I'm just so grateful to have them and to have this organization that's really pushed us together and allowing us to continue to grow, even though they're still competing. And I'm Miss Florida. I'm excited to be on the other side and help not just them, but so many other young women.
You can support each
started,
exactly. It's not a rivalry. It's and I've noticed that in all my years to watch the ladies go through this and to just see the bond that they form and so forth. So
I think it's really special too, though. I mean, you figure every young woman that's involved in this organization, there are some commonalities, right? There's a desire for self-improvement and growth, typically high achievers, right? They like to chase after goals. So, I mean, you find yourself in a community, maybe for the first time, with a lot of people that are very much like you. And that's what kept bringing me back, was that I was like, wow, this is the first time that I'm in a place and space with other amazing, young, driven, accomplished women that get it. And I don't feel like I have to explain myself, right?
Yeah, you're not a threat to each other.
Right. Yeah. It was like, no, we can celebrate our accomplishments and cheer each other on beyond this experience in life.
So as a state title holder, what's been like the biggest surprise? Something that like maybe you didn't expect being a state title holder. What?
Wait, I need to think about this. Actually, I was talking to Mr. Keith about this before we came over here, but I think the stress of like seeing the directors and people as like they're scary. And I know that sounds crazy, but like I literally was telling Mr. Keith, I was scared of him. Like literally, like I was like, if I don't go say hi to Mr. Keith, like that's it, I lost. Like it's over. Like he's never gonna pick me. And I think like you
And
realize,
I don't pick anybody.
well, yeah, and I realized that too. Like actually, he's literally here to support us rather than he is to like he's not here to condemn us at all or like to take points. Like I don't know why I always thought you had like a sheet where you would take points. I think that's one thing that really shocked me when I first got the title of Miss Florida's Teen, is that you really do realize the directors are there to support you. And like every single like sponsor or the people who are pouring into us, like they're not there to take points or to find your flaws, but they literally are there to look at areas where you can be strengthened, where you can grow. And they just want to see you excel. And I think I knew that because you guys would say that.
Right.
But I had a hard time actually believing the words when I wasn't yet in the position.
Yeah.
You know, so I would always be like, oh no, Mr. Keith is looking at me. What did I do? I talked a little bit loud. Now he thinks I'm disrespectful. Like I would spiral.
And I've never thought any of that about you. So, see,
I literally would
you're
spiral,
wrong.
especially at orientation. If he looked at me, I was like, oh my gosh, Ashley, like help me. Like, oh my gosh. But I just
I'm going to have to
realized.
be careful this year. Huh? See how
Lots of
I-
smiles.
Exactly. Lots of smiles.
No notepads.
No notepads.
Like, he would cry too. Like he, you know,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
not saying you're, you know, a crybaby, but like, you know, he really feels emotions. He feels them deep. And,
Yeah.
you know, I would never think that you were just somebody who was hard towards us. But that's how I don't know. I was just scared. So I think I realized
Little
the
intimidating.
support's more than I've ever like experienced.
Good.
I think for me, going back to that introverted extrovert, I think for a while I kind of believed that I couldn't be Miss Florida if I were an introvert, that I had to be this big personality, which I mean is me but isn't. And it's been really nice to find my own way of being Miss Florida, that it's okay that I might not have that kind of personality, but I'm still, I think, a good Miss Florida who wants to connect with people.
Absolutely.
I still love talking to people. I love having the opportunity to go into schools and hospitals and do what I love and still be myself, not having to be someone else or portray someone else. I think the first few times that I competed, I tried to be this person that I wasn't.
Exactly.
And finding myself this past year, I think talking to Allison about it too, like, no, it's okay to be you, but just making sure that I'm being the best me that I can be. And that's okay if it's not what a typical pageant girl looks like.
I know the other day we were on a road trip, and I always will, you know, hey, Miss Florida, answer the phone, hey, Miss Florida. And you sincerely made a statement that was just like, I can't believe that I'm really Miss Florida.
Yeah.
And I could just tell it, you know, she was like, it still hasn't really sunk in, you know, I'm learning, but it's like, wow, I'm
It's
Miss
so
Florida.
special.
It hits me all the time. And I'll
It's been
think
7
about,
months and we're still like
literally.
Yeah,
6 months,
exactly.
we're like, what?
I was telling Mr. Keith, I like look at the old, not old, but formers.
Yeah,
and
thanks
I
for not calling
I'm
us
not
old.
calling you guys old. And even when I see you guys,
mention no
I'm still
names.
like,
At our
hi,
church,
Miss
they
Florida.
say seasoned. The seasoned.
Thanks, Noelle.
But when I see you guys, I'm always like, hi, Miss Florida. And Roji's always laughing. He's like, it's like a little Barbie sisterhood. Hi, Miss Florida. Hi, Miss Florida. But going back to that, just every Miss Florida is so different. Everyone has their own personality. And it's okay to not be just like a former. Like, you can be your own Miss Florida. You can be your own Barbie. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't want another Cassandra, I don't want another Juliet, I don't want another Lindsay. I want you to be you. And we're not asking young ladies, you're not going to fill their shoes. You're going to bring your own shoes and you're going to make your own path. And that's what you all have done. Y'all have been incredible title holders. It's, you know, I'm going to get emotional, like you said. It's been a great.
We've been waiting for this.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And I'm sure in June it'll happen again because and that's kind of a little challenge that I always tell them, you know, make me cry. In June. Don't make me write rules about you, you know. And y'all are very dear to me and dear to the program. So, what do you want your legacy to be?
I think coming into becoming Miss Florida, I had the opportunity to get a lot of brand deals and partnerships, being a D1 athlete at the University of Florida. I think something that I'm really passionate about is creating more brand deal opportunities for for future Miss Floridas. I think that's something that I've been able to do this year, and I want to continue to make possible for the next generation.
Right.
I've been able to create partnerships with organizations like PBS, Boys and Girls Clubs, organizations I've already been working with, but new organizations like Blue Zones Projects and Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I'm excited to see where those continue to develop and keeping them past me, not just making it a Paris thing, but making
Right.
a Miss Florida organization.
But we're going to work with you
Yeah.
after that, and you're going to help us keep those going.
Oh, yeah.
So what kind of legacy are you wishing that we heard?
Yeah.
What do you want to leave?
Yeah, my biggest thing about legacies was I wanted to be able to leave a part of who I really am. And everybody knows my heart. Really, when you sit down and you talk about me, I cannot help but share about my faith. It's just truly who I am. So one of my favorite things that I've been excited about is the new partnerships that we have coming with colleges that we've been able to come and bring alongside that are not just normal colleges, but they're ones who have programs that I just started my classes in, but in apologetics. And like being able to defend my faith. There's things that I believe that if they wanted to go to that school, it's almost like a little part of Noelle will always be there as they get these schools that are coming behind them and want to fully support them. So I've been so grateful with the schools that have been able to come alongside us, and even the jewelry company that we're working with as well, like creating something that is a legacy that when they wear their ring or they wear their bracelet, it's like a collectible item because it makes it a community. It makes it special. It's like you are a part of the Miss Florida organization, and there's nothing like it. So I love having things that are a remembrance. When you look at it, you realize it's so much greater than just a moment, but it's like you are now a part of a family that will continue on.
I want to celebrate the fact that your mindset, both of you, for as long as I've known you, has been so much bigger than yourself, right? Like you understand the magnitude and the privilege and the honor, and you see beyond your year of service, which is so important. I mean, this organization's been around for 90 years, which is wild.
It's crazy,
and,
isn't it?
You know, it gets stronger with every Miss Florida and Miss Florida's team that has the opportunity to serve. And it's a responsibility for the rest of your life, right? Like, so welcome to forever, essentially. It is something that's very special, and you can continue to make an impact because you're already thinking that way. I have full faith and confidence that you'll continue to stay involved and give back, and that just makes my heart so happy.
They're
They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I still got
We'll give them a
time.
little bit of time, some downtime when it's after June. That's hard, when you think about it.
Yeah.
You are on that stage on June 27th. It's about you.
Yeah.
And in the split second of naming someone else's name or calling someone else's name, you're like, hey, get out of the way. It's now about someone else.
I know,
And that's very difficult.
When he says that,
can't
I'm like,
imagine.
that's messed up. I'm like,
We're
what
going to
do you
figure out a
mean
way
you're
to
doing
change.
that?
We're going to figure out a way to change that, right? A new
I'm not
tradition.
coming. I'll show up the whole week. I'll show up to the things where I walk in. Hi, it's Paris and Noelle, Miss Florida's team. The day you're calling the new one.
We're like, they are gone.
Uh-oh.
We can't crown a new one if we don't have somebody to do it, right? Yeah,
Take it as
that's
a
good.
personal attack for
There
some
you
reason.
go. Exactly. As we kind of wrap this up, real quick, what's something fun that you've done, maybe that you didn't think you would do as a state title holder?
Ooh, I think for me, and this might be because it's like one of the most recent appearances, was Gasparilla Parade.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think that I was going to be able to do that. I thought that was a Miss Tampa thing. I didn't know
Right.
that was a Miss Florida thing too. Or if Mr. Bob Clark, shout out Mr. Bob Clark, just allowed me to be in it this year.
Yeah.
But that was so cool. I briefly heard about what Gasparilla was, but I didn't know what Gasparilla was. It was 300,000 people there. And that opportunity was really cool. I ended up finding out it's the third largest parade in the country. I'm thinking I'm going to like a regular parade. This is probably my 10th parade of the year. And I love parades, don't get me wrong, but that parade was incredible. I saw so many of my friends, my old teammates. It was a really cool moment. I think for them also to like reach out to me afterwards and be like, I'm seeing you in your element. It's so cool to see you work so hard for something, and now you're being able to celebrate it this year. So that was a really cool appearance.
Awesome.
We have some pretty exciting upcoming ones too that I'm really excited for. I think some of my favorite, one, I've been able to go to 7 out of the 10 major children's hospitals. So that was my goal, was to go to all 10. So we have 3 more. So Lord willing, it's going to happen by the end.
Of course.
But I think for me, one of my favorite ones really was going to the fire station.
That
The
was
Jacksonville
fun.
Fire Station was so fun when we walked in there and they let us do a day in the life of a firefighter. And we're pulling back the fire hose, like the real one, not the one. I didn't know there was a difference between the one when you're in elementary school and the real one. My whole life I thought it was the same one. So the fact that I got to pull the real one
That
and
was
just
cool.
see how much they really do support our community was so eye-opening. They walked us into the little training area for kids. And I didn't know half this stuff about if you just unplug the toaster if something's on fire. Then the other day, our toaster caught on fire. and I knew what to do.
And you unplugged it, huh?
Yeah, so not only was it like a fun.
So that was an educational lesson.
Oh my
also.
gosh, well, I didn't know I actually was going to need to use that until my sister was like, the toaster's on fire. And I was like, don't touch it, unplug the cord. And I knew what to do. But I mean, this is just the first one that came on the top of my head.
That's good.
But no, it's been so rewarding. The hospitals, like getting to travel around, you really will live in the car. We say it every time.
My gosh.
You do not get out of the car.
I
That
live in
first
my
stop
car.
at Anne Marie's, like you are going all the way down.
All the
there.
way down,
All
exactly.
day. You'll be there too.
Yep,
but it's
exactly.
been such a blessing. And that's just the only one I can think about off the top of my head. But there's been so many more.
We have
Cool.
some really exciting ones coming
You've
up.
got some. We'll talk about those after they happen.
Yeah.
Those are going to be fun. So as we wrap up, words of encouragement. What can you share with those young ladies that are thinking about doing this, and also those that we know are already going to be at Miss Florida? What's some words of encouragement for them quickly?
I immediately go back to sisterhood, I think, because of that second point you added, girls who are already competing. Come join the sisterhood. Come join the Miss Florida Sisterhood. It's so much bigger than winning a crown. What you walk away with every year, whether that's scholarships, new friends, having the opportunity to use your title as a megaphone, going into communities that you're passionate about. I've had so many opportunities as someone who's passionate about food insecurity and health inequities to speak with people, and they actually listen. Even before getting the Miss Florida crown, whether I was Miss Gainesville, Miss Northeast Florida, Miss UF, people treat you so differently. They respect you a little bit more. So come on out, join the sisterhood.
There you go.
I would have to say, like, coming into Miss Florida Week, just expand your mind on why you're going there. Like, the growth that you can actually get. Don't just go in, like, for the crown to win it all, but, like, go in there knowing, like Paris had said, there is sisterhood. You're going to grow this week. You're going to be tired this week. But at the end of it, I can guarantee that every single girl will walk away knowing that they grew and that they're leaving better than when they started. So that's my biggest encouragement is just change your perspective on why you're going there, not just for a crown, but really eye-open yourself to there's so much more to gain.
And Allison, thank you. Do you have any words of encouragement? You were there just a few years ago.
Just a few. You're very kind. Well, and I think, this is one of those opportunities for young women, to your point. They are going to grow. They're going to be able to witness what's possible, but I also encourage them to never lose sight of how capable they are. Do not compare yourself to the young woman standing next to you. It really is a competition of one.
Right.
If you're returning for a second time, your goal should be to be better than you were the last time you were on that stage,
Right.
but not in relation to other people. You are going to be able to do so much more as a direct result of saying yes to yourself in this opportunity. That's why I kept coming back. I mean, it took me 4 times to win, and I just fell in love with the process because of who I was becoming in the journey. And I'm forever grateful. I mean, that's why I've stayed involved for so long.
I was going to say, and for somebody that's never competed, but I've given 47 years to this program, that's exactly why. It's because you get to, to watch these young ladies. We go to the pageant every year, the competition, and we know that only 2 are going to walk away as the winners. But I love to sit back and watch the young lady that competed in 32 locals one time, over a period of several years. And then she came back and finally made it to state. And she said, that was my goal. She says, I don't think I'll ever be Miss Florida. She says, but I needed this because she was in an environment where her career was dealing with a male-dominated industry. And she says, and I needed to be able to walk into that room and stand in the middle of the room and not the corner. And this organization gave that to me. That's the stories. That's the reason why I do what I do. Yeah, I love hanging with you all. Get to hang with Miss Florida, and I get to, have Miss Florida as my friend, be in their weddings, things like that. But it's to watch those other young ladies that everybody, we say everybody's a winner, but they really are. So,
and it's all those stories, right?
Oh,
it's
my gosh.
The thousands of young women that have gone through this
Yes.
program in particular. And I think with it being an anniversary year, and
Yes.
we've had so many conversations
gosh,
where it's just very
absolutely.
sentimental looking back and, being grateful to have been surrounded by so many incredible people and those that make it possible, like yourself and the countless volunteers that say yes to this organization for decades and love it because they're cheerleaders of the young women that are a part of it. And,
I
see what
take
they
great
do.
pride when you start looking at our volunteers. We've got volunteers that have put 50 years in. We've got volunteers that have been 20, 25, 30 years, 15. It's not a group of us going, well, this is my 3rd year here.
Right.
So that speaks volumes. So thank you all so much for your time. Allison, thank you for letting us to join you.
Of course.
We appreciate it. And
You're always
I'm
welcome here.
going to invite ourselves back. We're going to do this again. We're going to change the channel a little bit. We'll come up with some different topics. We're also going to be encouraging some of our forevers to join us and talk about some of the times that they've had over the last 90 years. It's going to be fun. And we are planning some great things in June. You all are. It's going to be fun. It's going to be good. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I am so grateful that you are here. As always, please continue the conversation over on Instagram at Allison Walsh, and make sure that you check out all of our freebies. If you scan the QR code, if you're watching on YouTube, or check out the link in the show notes, it will take you to a page full of resources and trainings and things to help you go farther, faster. And that is always my intention, is to help you continue to grow. And as always, I believe in you 1000%. And my goal is that you do too. Take care, beautiful. I'll see you next time.